Hi, welcome, and thank you so much for tuning to our Bettery Hub channel. As I always say, Thursdays are nights that I look forward to. So thank you so much for all of y'all, to join us tonight. And our Bettery Connections program itself, it's a weekly dose of transformative business ideas and solutions where we bring in, industry experts and business leaders who are making the difference and an impact in their respective industries locally and globally. As you know, Bettery Hub channel itself, we are actually broadcasting live on YouTube, on Facebook, as well as LinkedIn. So if you are in any of these platforms, please do remember, if you are specifically on YouTube, do subscribe to our channel. And if you are on LinkedIn, do just connect with me. And for those of you who believe that you like to actually, listen to audio, then we do have our live chats, which are converted into Spotify as podcasts for you. So visit our Bettery Hub podcast on Spotify, and I do enjoy all our previous live chats. And today, one good thing is, I would like to start out the day with a quote that innovation is where imagination meets ambition. And our today's speaker or guest is somebody who's not new to that. In fact, she's so passionate about innovation. There's so many things we are going to talk about, right? Innovation, that's a key topic for today. So let me just do a brief introduction of our guest speaker today. Now, our guest speaker is Vishantini Tangavaloo, a senior product development engineer from Synergy Oil and Gas in Riyadh Barat, a certified trainer, and she's the vice president of WICCI Innovation Council at Tamil Nadu, India, right? And now, Vishantini obtained her chemical engineering degree from University Technology of PETRONAS and her MS Chemical Bioprocess Engineering from National University of Malaysia. And to be frank, her bio is so long, I can go on and on. So I'm going to crystallize the key points for you. All right. Currently, she's heading the product development department, and her present research interest focuses across oil and gas industries, renewable energy, and production enhancement. She's also hosting her own podcast. We will be talking about that, the Innovators Minutes, or TIME time, where she has innovators sharing their ideas and pitching their ideas in order to commercialize them. And in innovation coaching, Vishantini has experiences in conducting workshops and a few startup companies, as well as at a current workplace. So without any delays, let's invite upon Vishantini. Hi, Vishantini.
Hi.
Hi, great to have you on our show. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm so humble for having me in your show.
Oh no, I've always been looking forward to have you on our show. When I first saw your YouTube channel, and I was thinking, we should get you up here and share so many of your experiences and your passion for innovation to our viewers. So thank you so much to be here.
Thank you. I mean, to be honest, I feel like Bettery Hub channel and your website and all, it's the very first time when I get to know about y'all. You guys were like my inspiration, actually, to be honest. I wanted to do what you guys are doing. So I should say thank you y'all, because you are inspiring.
Yeah, I think that's the great part, right? It's about inspiring each other. Continuously doing better, looking at each other and say, if he can do it or she can do it, why can't I? And we just grow together, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the whole spirit of it. Yeah, and in fact, recently I saw your last podcast with Iskandar, and I thought it was awesome, to get him on podcast or if I'm sure he's listening now. So it's live, so you can't do anything much about this, but to get him online is like a big feat, and wow, so thankful that you got him into your podcast and your show itself. It was awesome.
Oh, Iskandar is my go-to person all the time. Like all the time. Anytime. I just text him, what is this? What is that? It's very helpful.
Cool. And all right, Vishantini, let's talk about yourself. A brief introduction of yourself and your journey behind your current success.
Okay. I'm still, I wouldn't say like I've achieved a lot. I'm still in the growing phase. But yeah, let me just start. So my name, like what you've introduced, Vishantini Tangavaloo. Just call me Visha will do. And currently, I'm at Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, attached to Synergy Oil and Gas Engineering. Before this, upon graduation, I was with Top Glove. I'm not sure if you are aware of Top Glove. So I was in Top Glove. So I've always been in research field. I was always an R&D engineer, and then my second company was in oil and gas, also R&D engineer, and now I'm a product development engineer. So I had a very short. I only have about 6 to 7 years experience in working life, but I had a very great opportunity 2 years back when I went for interview for my current company, where they don't have this particular department. Because my current company is an engineering consultant company where they build offshore platforms. So they wanted to venture into R&D and everything. So just with my experience in Top Glove, which I had about like roughly 2.5 or 3 years experience, my boss had a lot of confidence in me. Say, why not? Let's do establish this department. And it was only me and him in the beginning. So and yeah, that what's made me to do a lot of things, because I start everything from the scratch. It was just the both of us, from the framework of the department, and to develop a product and commercialize the product and get patented and get awarded. All that happens in these 2 years. So that's why it's a very fast forward. And today is like, now I'm talking in front of you. It's also because of the platform and the opportunity is given by my boss and also the company itself. So that's a brief introduction about me.
Yeah, and a big shout out to your boss. I mean, I think one of the key things is that the confidence that we get from our bosses and the people around us, right? To give us the opportunity, the confidence to say, I believe in you, let's do it. So, I would like to give a big shout out to him. Maybe you want to mention his name so I can give him a shout out.
Definitely. His name is Mr. IR Kevin Shanta.
Mr. IR Kevin Shanta. So a big shout out to you on behalf of Bettery Hub channel. Keep inspiring. And you can keep let this lady give her more opportunities. She has a lot of capacity, right? And before we move on, I would like to say some highs to some of our guests. Hi Tan, thank you to join us. And we have Melissa. Hi Melissa, thank you so much to join us. And yes, I have my lovely Sriya, my youngest daughter. She told me specifically, please put up this message. So hi, a special hi to you. And I think we have Kevin. Hi, Kevin. Thank you so much for always being here. And we have another hello. Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us. And, definitely it's going to be an interesting one. So do feel free to engage Visha with your questions. She's more than happy to talk to you anytime about innovation, I believe. So now, Vishantini, let's talk about Visha, let's talk about your specific achievements, right? I have a picture of you. Just give me a minute to let me get this out.
Okay.
I saw this in a recent post, and I also realized that apart from the fact that you are an innovator yourself, but I think it has been something that you had passion about since your schooling days, and I believe even earlier. So maybe you want to share your experience of this award during your schooling days itself.
Oh yes, definitely. Okay. So I just want to touch a bit of my so this post particularly was inspired by you, because you wrote about reflection journey, right? So when I started reflecting, so there's one key point, right? It's so good to reflect, like what you have posted. Only when I reflect myself, I was like thinking, okay, I'm here today. When I reflect back, I was thinking, oh my God, it's actually not that I've innovated now. It's been a very long journey. If you look back, it actually, they call law of attraction, right? You somehow be attracting the same thing because you be showing a lot of passions to it. So it started, I would say, in my secondary school itself. I was, this young innovator. They used to have this scientist competition, young scientist competition and all. So I used to, I think I did this, creating a litmus paper from red cabbage. That was my very first innovation. Yeah. Now I'm thinking about it, I was like, how many years back? Like, around 15, 16 years back. And then when I came to university and I was studying my tertiary education, I took this initiative. In a lot of subjects you learn in the third year and fourth year, most of the economic, engineering and all in third and fourth year. But I had this passion in me that I knew that I was quite okay with my technical presentation, so I want to put myself out there in competition to test myself, how far I can go. But in that competition, because I'm in engineering school, so it has to be a bit of like project related, and it's a bit product related. So what I did was like I do a lot of homework, a lot of research. I was all alone, but I managed to come up with some product. I even presented in NUS about my product. Yeah, and I was only in second year. I think I was only in my third semester in my engineering, and I managed to come out with a product. Then, and I was all alone. I was, I went and met my supervisor, my lecturer. I said, "Can you please help me because I don't have certain knowledge because it will be taught later, but I know I can do this certain part." Then I can still remember her reactions. Like, seriously, you're gonna do this alone? I said, yeah. I said, why not? Then she was very helpful. And then fast forward, this was my third year. This is my third year. It was a competition as well. We always have the science, engineering, and design exhibition every year. And that particular year, they had an open innovation award challenge. So it was very last minute because I think I was occupied with something. And then I was thinking, no, why I want to miss this chance and I want to go for it. So it was just 1 or 2 days before the competition, I formed a team, and then I haven't decided because that time I think we all were occupied with something and we couldn't come up with with a product or a project. Then I spoke to my senior and everything, and we came out with it's a very conceptual study. And just overnight, I went through everything, research, and then go through with my group mates. Let's do the poster presentation because it's one of the criteria for us, the poster. So we were doing the poster the entire night. And then because we are staying in hostel, right, we need to go out and print. So one of my group teammate is actually staying. He will travel daily, like he go back to Ipoh and come back to UTP. UTP is actually it's 30 minutes away from Ipoh, Perak. So what he did was like my presentation was 10 in the morning, and he has to print the poster 8 o'clock in the morning. And it's so difficult. It's not like all the shops open early, right? But somehow he managed. We call them and we fix appointments. Say, can we do this and all? They were very understanding and managed to get a poster printed 9 o'clock, and then 9:30 we set up our booth and everything. And I just had like 10 minutes before the judge to come and evaluate us. I only had 10 minutes to present and practice my presentation because I don't know because you were so into doing the posters and also I know what's happening and I know the flows and everything, but you still need to practice and all, right? So the 10 minutes I was impressed with myself when I was presenting. It's just coming out in the flow. I was like, oh, not bad after my presentation. But the only thing, like I think I mentioned in my post, I didn't had a prototype. We haven't built a prototype. We just had like a video to show because it was just one day, 24 hours work. So what happened was that we won silver medal that time, and that's only because we didn't have a prototype, and there was a 24 hours work. So I managed to come up with a concept within 24 hours. So yeah, I think that was one of my remarkable achievement that I've done those days.
Yeah. Amazing, and I think there's something that you actually talked about, right? No, within the 10 minutes, you're impressed with yourself, the way the flow came about. And I think that happens when you have this passion, right? Everything is within you. It's up here, and all you got to do is just just say it out and let you are just going with the flow, and things just come out, even though you think that you are not fully prepared, but it just
Yes.
comes out. And I guess that's where you understand or you realize that it's actually more of a passion rather than just a competition. And this was not the first one, I believe. I can go on in the list, but you have been actually getting a lot of awards even when you were with your company itself. You have come up with a lot of products. Maybe you want to tell us a bit more on, for example, some of those commercialized products that were awarded Spotlight New Technology Award. Maybe you want to share with us some of these awards that you have achieved with your company.
Oh yeah, definitely. So this award I received this award 6 months I was in Synergy Oil and Gas Engineering. So it was like my target. Like I set myself, by the time I finish my probation period, I must do something. I must achieve something. So that was my target, and not one but two. So I won 2 awards for 2 product awards under this new Spotlight Technology Award under Offshore Technology Conference 2020. Only sad thing about this conference is I'm supposed to receive the award last year, 27th of March, but then it's already locked down that time. So they were postponed, and then it was a virtual way of receiving the award. It's around last year, November or August, I can't remember. Yeah, somehow they posted the plank and the certificate. It was sad, but eventually at least they were recognized. One thing about that award, right? I told you like it's 6 months. It was a conceptual part. So I don't have a prototype then. I only had my prototype last year around July, August after I submit for the award. So this award was announced in 2019, but the ceremony was in last year March. So I only had my prototype last year around July. So in that 6 months period, it was just a concept, but I know that this concept will get commercialized somehow because of the market research that I've done. So I was very convinced and confident to go for it and submit. And I compete among those big players of oil and gas, for example, like Schlumberger, Halliburton, I think Baker Hughes. There were a few big players who won the award. So if you see, Synergy was never an R&D. So it had always been an engineering consultant. So when we won this award, like out of the 10 companies, you will see suddenly there is a SME company, the small player there won award like for these two. So now I felt like, oh wow, okay, at least now people know Synergy is in R&D as well, launching new product. So that was another achievement that I think we always make it motivate us. It motivates me especially because I was all alone that time. Like I told you, I didn't have a team member, nothing. So just go on and the award motivates me to do more and more, regardless, being a one-man show.
Yeah. And though we were just talking about working from home and everything is going virtual and everything, so I do feel you when you say that the award was given, it's a virtual event and everything. But the good thing is this: I don't need to motivate or inspire you. I'm sure you have more awards coming up. So when things get better, I'm sure you will be up on the platform collecting your future awards. That's a definite goal. And what inspired to be in oil and gas industry? Out of curiosity.
Okay.
Like, oil and gas.
Oil and gas. Okay. To be honest with you, when I was young, when I was 16 years old itself, I decided that I want to do chemical engineering, and I don't know why I wanted to do chemical engineering. To be honest, the story behind this is that I'm from a boarding school, so I was in boarding school for 5 years, from Form 1 to Form 5. I was in boarding school. So in Form 4, as my friend, a very close friend of mine, she told me that her sister got into University of Malaya and she's doing chemical engineering. I say, chemical engineering is so the name itself. I find it very fancy. Wow, so nice. I don't even know what people do, what chemical engineering is, but I just like the name, and I do like chemistry and all. So I set my target. No, let's just be a chemical engineer because my parents want me to be a Indian parents, medicine and stuff like that. So I don't want to be a doctor. So then I just went with chemical engineering. Then I was doing some homework and where to offer and everything. And another thing is that I wanted to be nearer to my parents. I'm from Ipoh, Perak. So I wanted somewhere nearer to the house, and UTP was one of it. So I already set my target when I was 16 years old. I want to do it in UTP and chemical engineering. And then oil and gas that time, I mean, we're young kids, we were like more into which industry can earn a lot of money, that kind of mindset, right? So yeah, it's more of that. It's like nothing much on like no other big story behind it. It's more of oil and gas. But sadly, when I graduated at that time, oil and gas was not doing so well. Around 2015, it dropped. So that's why I went to rubber industry first, manufacturing on Top Glove, and then somehow, I make sure that I come back to oil and gas, which I did.
Right, cool. And now let's talk about the topic of your passion, right? Let's talk about innovation incubation. All right. So, for a person like me who don't know much about innovation incubation, so what is innovation incubation?
Okay. So to define it and all, right? So for me, it's like it's an entire system, it's an entire process, if you ask me. Because when like I mentioned earlier about my department, I have to come up with a framework, right? So that for me, incubation is like you start from the scratch. It's the entire system, from ideation up to commercialization. So when I came out with the system, that's when I did. I don't know many terms like there are many terms out there. Agile, lean, design thinking, Scrum. I don't know all that. I wasn't exposed then. Like 2 years back, I know zero about this. But somehow I had this very based on my previous experience, how I generate ideas and my conceptual studies and all that. That actually gave me some idea that I should do this first, then the second part I should do that, and then how are we going to eliminate the ideas? Okay, so for the first part is your ideation part, but before the ideation, you need to know the client pain point. You need to get some information from the client pain point. So what I did is I put into business development and also my product development, my department together. so that they also play a role. So business development also play a role on the market research because they're the one engaging with the client, right? The end user. I'm doing the back work. I'm doing all the developing and all, and the business development people is the one doing the front work where they talk to clients and engaging. So I did like a system where I state first I don't know what to develop, so I need to have like a framework like I need to start somewhere. So I know that the pain point comes from the client. So ask them to distribute templates to the clients, potential clients. What are your pain points and everything? And then once we collect that, then we go to idea generation, and then from there I went step by step to doing technology gap analysis, market analysis, and everything. And it's all done in house. It was nothing like I ask external people to do market research for me. Nothing. And doing prototype budgeting and developing, and I also developed my own lab in my current office. We have like a mini lab, so the lab and everything, and then so that's my prototype and all, and then the testing part, and then going into the market. It's a phase. It took me 2 years, 1.5 years process. But when I was listing out and everything, only then I realized it's actually a stage gate process. So I actually implemented that without knowing that such thing actually exists, and this is the name for it. But it's just that the knowledge that you gain along the way. And when I started reading up a lot of things after that, and then only I knew, oh my god, this thing exists actually. And I made it into more proper, and then that's when I grow interest in design thinking. So I started to take up courses on design thinking and see how I can do and make sure my ideation process is very interesting, because I need to engage a lot of my engineers to come and give me a lot of ideas. So I learned few tools, how to be more engaging and how to conduct virtual ideation. So it's a process, if you ask me, and I use stage gate process.
So, in your case, you're saying that you are systemizing the way your company actually innovates itself. There's a specific system that you have come up with, and it starts with a pain point, right? It's always innovation is always about addressing a particular client's problem or individual's problem, right? So, and currently, over the years, has this system has got better since the day you started? Any specific areas that you really worked on that got it better, more sharper, that you want to share with us?
Definitely. In fact, like I like to do every 6 months. I like to do lesson learn. So lesson learn. There's a template where you do what went wrong, what could have done better, and what didn't go well. So these are the 3 areas where I do my lesson learn every 6 months. So when I do my lesson learn, it's where I know what actually went wrong, and how am I supposed to improvise, and the action plan need to be taken. So when I do, so now that's 2 years of my department. So I've done at least 3 lesson learns. So there is a few revision. Now it's the third revision. So like what you ask, it's just yesterday I've done my lesson learn for this for this year. So I know like there's a revisions already along the time, and which part that I've improvised the most is like I call it stage 0 to 5. So 0 and 1, the template were very how to say. I make sure the starting is very established, because the starting point it's so important, especially on my idea metrics, the criteria that I put in, and then the weightage I put in. It auto selects this idea is rejected, this idea will develop, this idea will be in KIV. Then when you select, okay, these are the potential developing ideas, and then you put your resources, right? Like material resources, manpower. So all that in the beginning stage, I have established along the time. So now in the beginning it was so messy. I only had 1-2 ideas. Now if you ask me, because I have a lot of ideation workshops I do every 6 months with my engineers. So now I got about more than 100 ideas in my idea bank. And from the idea bank, how you're going to move forward from there. So that's the thing that I've established very well in the beginning part. The rest of it, it's very customized accordingly to the product itself.
Right. And now, before this, we have Shilpa. I just want to address, hi Shilpa, thank you for joining in. And yes, it's true, bosses play an important role in your career growth. And thank you for joining us. And Shilpa, do engage Visha if you have any other questions. And thank you for joining us once again. And yeah, Visha, so I just want to ask this question, your support from your boss. I mean, since we talk about the boss, right? Because when you are innovating, when you're starting a department, it's about cost, because we are still running a business, right? So in this case, were you given the full freedom to make the decisions? Or I mean, of course, you do run through him, but do you think as an running a department, to have that freedom to run that is important to be given the freedom to be able to make decisions in certain areas? Is it important?
It's very, very important. But I think as I'm running the department, I need to be very mindful first. Like, what is the capacity of my company in the first place? Right? I also have to be very mindful. It's not like I do take a decision and then ask my boss and reject and get set. No, I also have to know what's the capacity, to what extent they can go, to what extent I can build prototype within company resource, and to what extent I should apply for a grant, and for what kind of project I should apply for a grant. So I'm very mindful on all these things. So
Right.
I know to this extent we can go because it's been allocated this much. I'm very much aware of that. So I plan accordingly. So I know if I'm going to bring this to another stage, I know I need to find a grant. I'll tell my finance department, please do grant for me. I'll do the pitching and I'll do the rest of the thing. Don't worry, but just get me the grant appointment and everything. So I know at which stage, at which point I can do using companies' resources. Regardless the freedom I have, I be to be very mindful. And yeah, the grant plays a role, and also the collaborations with universities and other industry experts.
Right. And we have a viewer who say he loved the concept of an idea bank. And
Yes.
maybe you want to elaborate at this point of time, now that you do have an idea bank, is there anything you want to share about the concept itself?
Okay, so Idea Bank, right? So it totally comes from a workshop. So what we do is that we have like I'm sharing a lot of company secrets, but it's okay. It's a very general thing. It's a very general things. Okay. So what we do is that we do like a workshop. I'll pick a very hot topic of the current situation. So for example, oil and gas. All you know is zero flaring by the year of 2050. So a lot of carbon capture topics and all, right? So I what I do is that I'll do a lot of engagement with my engineers for 1 week. I said, let's work out on this, and I'll post a lot of videos and get them exposed to all the current situation. And then I run a workshop. I do a virtual ideation workshop. So I do a lot of tools and everything, make it interesting so that they come up with a lot of ideas and everything. So from there, I probably will get I wouldn't say I get a lot. I probably would say I get 5 to 6 ideas by end of the workshop. 5 to 6 ideas out of like my 50 engineers who joined the workshop, for example. So I get 5 6 ideas. So as time goes by, right? When client pinpoint comes in, I put in. When some of my engineers, when they engage with some of the other industry players, and they said, this they have spoke and they have exchanged some ideas. Then I put in. So right now I have about 127 precisely. I have 127 ideas. But
Wow.
to be honest, like I said, after you get all these ideas, right, then you have your criteria that you put in. You only put in like minimum 5 criteria, and then you put a weightage to it. Then you do a voting, then you vote, and then it will give you results whether should be KIV or this one should be rejected. So the criteria you define yourself. You can look into criteria in terms of novelty, human resources, technicality, market availability. It's a very high level of screening process. So I would say it's a matrix I have, then it's a screening process.
And so, it's a process by itself, right? I mean, this is already a process by itself we have to go through. Thanks, Visha, for sharing, openly sharing this with us. Thank you so much. Give us a thumbs up if you think that you are happy. Okay, I mean, doesn't matter if you're happy or not, but so long the answer addresses to you. And right, with that, let's move on. Visha, when we talk about innovation, right? Now, why is it important to continuously innovate, especially in your industry?
Okay, my industry, okay, because I'm attached to offshore technology most, because we are designing offshore platforms. So most of our key players or end clients that we are aware of, it's on the offshore side. So I'm much more exposed on the offshore side, not on the onshore, the refinery plant, not so much, but we are actually exploring as well. But in terms of offshore, a lot of fields are already matured, so it's depleting along the time. Along the time, of course, you won't get the same amount of oil being produced or the gas being produced. It depletes along the time because the pressure depletes and everything. So for you to sustain in the market, being a consultant, being I mean the company being a consultant themselves, right? It's how much more Petronas can invest of rigging a new oil platforms is about sustainability and maintaining the platform, which is so important, right? So we can't be we only get a job when there's a new platform. Otherwise, there's no job, right? So
Yeah.
we want to make sure that we can help them how to make sure they can sustain the platforms. So we introduce all these products. So whatever products that I'm developing is actually helping to sustain their platforms. So that's why I think you mentioned earlier, which is on the production enhancement. So my current products, like what I've won award also is production enhancement, increasing the temperature. Those simple things, but it's so important that it actually increases the revenue end of the day. So yeah.
Right. And now, what is your role in all this? Where do you see this journey will take you?
It's a very long journey to go still because I definitely was still in learning process. Even though that I learned out a lot of things in a very short period of time. Like when I established the department and I was doing a lot of patent writing, patent filing, all in house. We don't have any external source to help us. So patent writing and publishing technical journals, technical paper in journals, and running this workshop and cultivating innovation culture in synergy itself. So there's a lot of things is going on within under my responsibility, I would say. So where do I see myself in the coming 5 years, for example? I would say that I'll be a innovation coach for my company itself. Being the technical expertise of developing product, it's one which I will never let go of that because I know my expertise comes there developing a product. But in the same time, on the management level, I think I can run the entire process and be an innovation coach. And I think I can cultivate anyone to innovate any products. It's not only a product development engineer can do it. Even a process engineer or mechanical engineer, they can do it. So I think I could be a good coach in making sure anyone can actually innovate.
Yeah. And I mean, this just came to me. I was just thinking if, because you say that you started with yourself and your boss, there's the two of you, all right? And you're doing most of the things yourself. If I start my own company and if I'm ever thinking, I want to start my own R&D department, I want to build up a team, then I think you are one person who will be able to say how you can start from scratch as a one-man person, and then from there, how do you build up? I think it takes a lot of thinking process and experience to be able to know how you build your assets, right? Companies' resources are very, are limited, especially when you're growing. You want to make sure you invest in the right places. So I believe you should be able to also, along the years, help and consult companies who are looking into expanding the R&D department. No, I'm just thinking out loud. Do you think that would be one of your forte as well?
Yeah, that's definitely one of my forte because I know I've started this from scratch, so that's why I have so much like I would say I wouldn't say I'm so confident that I can do it. No, it's definitely a journey for me to go. It's just like 2 years. I have a long way to go and learn a lot of things. It's just my experience revolve around my company, oil and gas. So if I were to consult other people, then I need to have different experience from different angles, right? It's just not only on one scope that I'm actually quite expert in at the moment. So I think it's a very long process. And what you say, yes, I am seeing myself if I can consult in the near future, but I will definitely, with the experience that I have and the creative tools I have, I'm able to, come up with a new way of doing it and make sure it's adaptable for that particular industry. So I kind of believe that I can do that. The mix and match kind of thing, and it's customized accordingly. Yeah, that I think I can do along
I
the
guess
way.
that's where your passion and your strength is. Um, yeah. And just a question, right? In this process that you just shared, is it the same in any other industry apart from oil and gas? The process itself, in terms of innovation, the innovation processes that you highlighted. Do you think the process itself is more or less the same?
Yeah, the process is definitely more or less the same. So it depends where you start. Like for example, Synergy is starting from the scratch because we are not manufacturing company, right? So
Hmm.
based on my experience, I want to touch base on my experience. I don't want to go so out of my experience. I might be wrong also, right? So based on my experience, Synergy is from the very scratch. It's a process. But the same process when I was working in Top Glove, it's a manufacturing company, right? Manufacturing company, you don't require so much work on the prototype because it's already there. The production line, everything is there. So you don't need to do so much work and building up the prototype and everything, but it's just more of like the idea generation has to be there because Top Glove, with the name itself, they produce glove. So all we know is glove, right? But there are various type of gloves out there. It's not that it's just glove. No, there are many innovations has been done on glove. So the idea generation process is there, but you may not have lots of idea bank like what we do now because and the client pain point, yes, the end customers will come back with feedback because we sell in big quantity, right? They come back with the feedback, and then we from there we will innovate certain stuff and the idea process. But we don't do so much of technology gap analysis much on that. But we will definitely do a bit of market research because we can't be developing a product just for one client because they gave a feedback, right? We have to make sure that we develop this glove. It's not only useful for this particular client, but I have to make sure across the region and other continents also, clients also would want to buy. Otherwise, it's not worth it. So the market research is there. The prototype won't take a longer time is the production lines is readily available. It's very fast for you to do trial runs and mass scale, and very sharp, very fast for you to ship out. So there is the innovation acceleration over there. So in Synergy, it's not like that. It's very from the scratch and a lot of works and a lot of meetups and a lot of discussion. But in Top Glove, it's not like that. It's very fast. Everything is there. A lot of steps you can skip. But I would say that the entire process is there. You
Okay.
just can skip certain stuff.
So you just which areas that you need to focus depending on the industry itself.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
And let's talk about going big with innovation. I'm going to talk about you are you're a host for your own YouTube program, which is widely viewed, called the Innovator Minutes. So we're going to talk about that. And I'm going to ask you quite a fair bit of questions on that. All right. So can you tell us more about it and like why and how it started?
Okay. Again, it's the passion is the keyword. And I like to talk. And when I said that I was all alone in my company and my department and all, my other engineers, they were all very occupied with other works and stuff. So it's not like I can be so engaging and all. So to learn and to make sure that I don't want to be so dependent on what knowledge is being shared by my boss and everything. I also know that I have my responsibility that I have to learn outside of my working hours, because if I were to run something and to make sure that I can have a framework, I have to learn a lot from people as well. It's one thing, yes, you can read a lot of books, articles, and listening to podcasts, and but another way of learning faster way, I would say that learning or listening to the experts themselves. So for me, it's like when I wanted to become, I had a passion. I wanted to become a trainer because I like to talk. And then, but that's not a criteria only, right? If you like to talk, you want to become a trainer, right? So you have to have a lot of content and a lot of points for you to deliver and make sure you are knowledgeable. That's the main criteria rather than you like to talk. So I felt that my experience, like what I mentioned, it's very revolved around these two industries, manufacturing and oil and gas. But how about if I want to become a trainer? Then it's a very big, large group of people. So when I talk to people in my Innovators Minutes podcast, it's more of like a YouTube channel at this point of time, and I upload in Spotify as well. So I'll try to talk to the innovators and how they innovate, like how you asking me questions on the process, or is it same? So I want to learn from other industry as well. Is it the same? But eventually it is the same. But like what I said, you can skip certain process. You can be creative in certain process part. You can skip or you add on a bit more because this is a very important tool at this point of time. So I talked to innovators from industry, from universities, and also from the innovation coaches themselves, like how they help to market their products. So there's a two section, right? You being on the technical is one side, you develop and you prototype, testing and all, but going to a market is a different gameplay. So you can't find everyone is doing the entire stretch from the developing up to commercialization. There are different personnel involved. So my podcast involves all these kind of person, the technical person, the experts, and also the person who able to commercialize, or someone who can aid you to commercialize your product. So it revolves different kind of people, but they all in the innovation field.
So basically, if I can I just say that if I'm talking about a specific process, a specific area in the process, then you have the right expert to be there to share on that area.
Yes, correct.
So basically, you actually have a whole lot of experts talking about all the different stages in your process of innovation. Cool.
Yes.
That's interesting. And I think another thing that I observe about you, Visha, over my conversations with you, even through your posts and everything. I think you are someone who's always up, to expose yourself, to learn more things, to grow, and so on. So has having these podcasts help you to learn and grow as a person itself, apart from just giving value to others?
Definitely, like a lot. So when I talk, so initially I was very skeptical about it. I start my very first episode is a very dear friend of mine. She's from TNB. She's a researcher herself. So when I talked to her, I was very comfortable because I know her and everything. So I was comfortable. But I know her through LinkedIn though. I've not met her in person. It's just through LinkedIn connection, and we become close. And I wanted to interview her. But then the following ones all was very difficult for me to approach, and how to convince them that it's worth it, because people have this perception. Can you share your podcast channel, or can you share your YouTube channel? Then they see, oh, this is just one episode. People have this kind of mindset, like why would they want to be in my channel, right? But when I try to convince them that I my LinkedIn profile was, I used to be very active before compared to now because I'm so occupied at this point. But when I was actively posting at that one point of time, so I think those posts and everything helped me to actually ask them, can you be in my podcast and then share this part, and I also can help. I also can learn. They also can expose themselves to certain things because they also innovate products, and they can share their products and things like that. So I learn along the time. So when I talk to them, they will tell me how important is IP, and what you should tell and what you should not tell, because they have experience where they have people take their ideas because they were very innocent, they never patented. So this kind of experience that you don't want to repeat in your journey as well. So just a lot of things I learned. There's a lot of things.
Yeah, nice. A lot of life and business experiences and lessons, right? Right,
Yes.
cool. And why should aspiring innovators watch your YouTube program? Now is the time to practice a bit of your sales, right? Why should they watch your podcast? Anything, specific things that they can look out for that you think they can gain from it.
Yeah, I think I've already mentioned earlier. It's more of like if you're looking into the technical aspect on applying for grant, IP, how industrial and academician research gap can be closed. I've also covered on that. So I have like few university lecturers who talk about on closing the gap between industry and academic, and also on the so there's one aspect they can look at on the technical aspect. And then I've also closed the gap where how important is digitalization on the current agenda is on digitalization and online teaching, and how they tend to innovate. So that is one part that I've covered. I've covered a lot on the commercialization part as well, because I think the mindset, the culture, and how do you bring it forward, it's so important. Even Iskandar is one of them, Mr. Iskandar. You have shared a very valuable inputs how to commercialize the product and what you need to have before you go through this entire process. There are so many tools that they will share in my podcast. So it's so good that you can learn the tools, you can learn the process, you can learn the format, the process flow, and who are the person you need to approach, and where you should put a break and where you should accelerate your innovation at which point. So all this has been covered in my 10 episodes of my podcast.
Nice. And so, for those of you who are looking, for YouTube videos that you can learn about innovation, do feel free. I've actually put up the link on our comment section for our YouTube and Facebook. LinkedIn, I will do it later again for the link. And for those of you who think that you can contribute something to podcast, why not try your luck, right? Just message Visha through LinkedIn, and maybe you can contribute something so that the other innovators can improve as well. I hope you don't mind, Visha. I'm just opening it up to
I
any.
would love to. I would love
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. And with that, I'm going to go on. Just one more question that that just came up to me. Your involvement in WICCI Innovation Council at Tamil Nadu, India, right? I mean, now that you're there, how has that helped you in terms of being an innovator? Within people who are in the innovation field.
Okay, it just started, to be honest. I mean, it just started 2 months ago. They never had WICCI. They never had an innovation council. So they had different councils on business, engineering, architect. Different areas. But they don't have it on innovation. So when they approached me based on my LinkedIn a profile that I was very actively engaging in innovation, so they approached me. Then I went through like a few conversation and interviews with them and stuff. So I would say that it's a very different mindset because they're from India. They have a different perspective of looking at things and how they work. So I said it's in the beginning it was a bit when I started to have a conversation with them, I find like, oh, it's a bit different mindset, but I think they were very welcoming. So they were very welcoming. So I could able to share. Could be myself. Like could be myself and share. And when I share, they really value the entire lessons because they really appreciate and they want to learn. So you have a group of people like they have 14 innovation councils in India. So Tamil Nadu is one of them. And they have about, I think, approximately more than 150 members altogether on all the 14 innovation council. So I'm looking forward to have like a webinar section with them soon as well. I'll be teaching them on the entire process. So from there only I can share my experience on how is the engagement level because we just started. But so far the engagement level is so good and they're very welcoming and they have this interest of learning. So I hope it's a journey, but hopefully it's a good journey.
Yeah, and all the best. I mean, it's awesome, right? You being an innovator in Malaysia, and you went all the way up to India Innovation Council. I think this is really awesome, and I wish you all the best. For you to expand your influence and spread that passion of yours. Innovation and the lessons that you have learned, the experience, and so on. Now, this is my favorite part. Usually, the rapid fire questions round. This is where I get to ask the guests with questions. So now this time I got something different. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to allow you to have some control. Instead of just asking you questions, I'm going to let you choose either one of the envelope that has questions. 1, 2, or 3. You choose, and then from there I'll ask you questions according to whichever envelope that you choose. So 1, 2, 3. Which would it be? You can go by color. You can go by number.
I go by color white.
White. Okay, cool. So are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's go with the question number 3, right? Right now, what would you want to be remembered for?
What I want to be remembered for my product, for my innovative product that I've developed.
Okay,
So
nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
Definitely
all right. So the moment they look at it is okay, this is from Visha, right?
Yes.
Cool. And the legacy that you want to leave behind.
My concept. So I definitely want to come up with my own concept, like innovation acceleration. Like we were talking a lot on the process and everything, right? I want to have my own concept of doing much more at a faster rate because I know it requires a lot of resources and time for you to innovate and commercialize. I want to find a way that we can do it at a very much faster rate. So the concept. So I want to be legacy for that.
Right, cool. And where do you see Vishantini in the next 5 years or in 5 years' time?
Where do I see?
Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
To be honest, mother to my kids.
Okay, all right. Okay. All right, okay, cool. And your biggest challenge that you have faced?
Biggest challenge, there was a lot of challenges along the way. I would say that my biggest challenge is when I was all alone in my department. That was the very biggest challenge because you are your own motivator. You don't have like when you're working in a team, then you see your team members are doing work and they're reporting. Oh my God, okay, I feel like I'm like behind. You can compare and things like that. But when you're alone, you have no comparison, you have no office mate to talk to, go nothing. It was like that was my biggest challenge. But I was keep going. I was my own motivator, and I was keep finding things to. That's when I talk with a lot of people. I like to call people and ask a lot of things. So yeah, that was my biggest challenge, I would say.
Right. And your greatest achievement? Surviving that one, that loneliness in the department.
I wouldn't say loneliness.
Okay, not loneliness, but being alone.
My greatest achievement, I would say that innovating products or coming out with a concept within a very short period of time along the way. I wouldn't pick one, but I felt there was a many achievement that I've done along the way that I've innovated in a very short period of time. Let it be in my beginning of my career, where I know that very fast I am able to evaluate that this product can be commercialized. So it's a very fast period I could evaluate that there's a market for this, and very short period of time I've taken to innovate.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. This is the end of your rapid questions. You did well, Okay, there's no marks for this, but thank you so much. And I would like to just say thank you, Melissa. Thank you so much. Yes, Visha, I think the credit goes to you, for sharing. It's very inspiring. And we have Raghu. Also, thank you, Raghu, for joining us. And, Visha, 50 minutes just passed like that, right? We were talking about it, and that's it. It just went past so fast. But I think there was a lot of sharing done. Now, any word of advice for our viewers?
I would always say this, that what I'm doing at this point of time is like well, my current job that I'm doing, I'm also studying. I'm also studying, and I'm also running my department. And in the same time, I also aspire to be a business consultant in near future, not anytime now, in near future. And I always like to do work out of my job scope. Like I like to learn something, so I always will advise our viewers, anyone listening out there, to do something that you're very passionate about. And if that doesn't revolve along with your work, your daily job, try to do something besides that. So that will keep you going, and you feel motivated. So I always will tell, learn something out of any skills, pick up anything from what you do in your daily job. So yes.
Cool. Thank you so much, Visha. I think there's so much sharing, there's so much passion. We talked about innovation, we talked about your journey, your YouTube channel. So it was awesome, and I hope to see your future trainings up on LinkedIn, and your future engagements with Tamil Nadu on innovation and so on. So thank you so much, and we will definitely catch up again.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
All right. You just hold on for me, Vishal. Let me handle the show, or then after that we'll catch up. All right. It was an awesome time. I think we had an, Visha was just amazing, right? With all her sharing, and I was amazed with the fact that she's so transparent in terms of sharing her passion, in terms of the processes and so on. So, once again, thank you, Visha. And now, no low life chat is complete without you, the viewers. So thank you so much for spending your time with us. And please do leave your comments and your feedback so we can consistently do it better just for you. Now, again, if you are watching our show via YouTube, please do remember to subscribe to our channel. And if you are watching us through LinkedIn, do remember to connect with me, and please do give me feedback. You can either direct message me to give me certain feedback on things that went well and things that I can improve on. And do tune in to our Spotify, that this live chat will be up on Spotify as podcast in the next 2 days. So with that, thank you so much. And do remember, all right, to take action and keep doing it better. Remember to stay safe, and we'll see you next week.